What does that say on the back of the car?
Lebanese people. Because the Lebanese people is going to be inside. I think everyone is afraid. Like, a lot of people are leaving Beirut. A lot of people are feeling like, that's it, we're going to a no state. They completely failed us. We expected that, and this is where we are.
My father traveled today. He's an airline captain, and they told them to, take a little bit more stuff with them in case they're not able to land in Beirut tonight or tomorrow night. This is how we're living the last moments before 0 tomorrow.
As Lebanon headed towards a political deadlock over the election of their next president, members of Khalass, a coalition of young activists, NGOs, and civil society groups, organized their last public action to push for a solution to their country's crisis. شو رأيك؟ حلو؟
حلو.
تفتكر هيكون في مشاكل يعني حرب؟
والله ما بعتقد.
يعني بس اذا بحلوا عنا ما في حرب، لانه كشعب ما حدا بده حرب، بس بموهونا انه يبقى في حرب، بخوفونا من الحرب، بس يحلوا عنا وياخذوا الحرب معهم. يعطيك العافيه.
Khalass members set out in the streets of Beirut, expressing fears that many in Lebanon were feeling a few days before the deadline for a presidential appointment. In a country that still bears signs of a 15-year civil war, the resumption of violence is a lingering possibility in many people's minds.
Weapons are so easily dispersed, anything can happen. This is the kind of mindset that has led us today to go out nationwide, start having partnerships with business associations, artists, media, academics, to demand civil solutions to the crisis today. We don't see any active measures towards peaceful resolutions. Everything has been going towards exponential tension. And Khalass is the only platform today. These young people you see around you are the only space that are saying, we are neutral, we are citizens, we demand civil solutions.
Today, 17 years since the end of the Civil War, many of the same leaders who were part of that war are again busy not agreeing on a solution to their divisions. Khalass is without doubt the smallest and least powerful of all the political players in Lebanon, but the group highlights something much more significant than their size. A few days before the presidential deadline, Khalass members are getting ready to take a creative, albeit desperate measure to advance an alternative set of politics.
يعرف statement كل مكوناته ويعرف يقوله بشكل هيدا بثلاث لغات، يعني انجليزي عربي فرنساوي، او بيشترك من شخص واحد. The current political stalemate is a result of a split in the Lebanese parliament, where the two opposing sides have not met since November 2006.
What's happening today is that we're repeating almost the same elements in history that resulted into war, and this is where we are today. The whole idea of Khalass means enough, to tell politicians enough crisis, enough provocation, enough calls for sectarian violence, enough armament, and enough dealing with managing this country in such an immature way. Today, Khalass, in what it is today, is to deal with the actual crisis, to put pressure on politicians so that they feel that their authority is at stake if they don't solve the problem in a peaceful, civic way. We're working towards really understanding what does it mean to have rights, duties, how to participate, how to hold our leaders, parliamentarians, representatives accountable.
This language of accountability and civic participation shows a society very different than a sectarian nation that dwindled into a civil war in 1975. A society that is not willing to descend into another civil war easily. Nevertheless, the political dynamics, both internal and external, have remained little changed. Internally, the Lebanese tradition of consensus is once again creating a stalemate.
Because the country contains such diverse populations, the Lebanese parliament has generally functioned through a two-thirds majority instead of a simple majority. This guarantees that no group can control another and that no minority is left completely powerless. However, this presumption of consensus is now falling apart as the ruling parties, the March 14th coalition, are trying to rule through a simple majority. The opposition sees this as an unfair change of Lebanese political tradition, and they have vowed to resist any move towards a simple majority system. They continue to boycott the parliament.
Imagine people who are living, we put the news every day in the morning, they are speaking of two governments, two presidents, a constitutional vacuum, because the country is strictly divided. It's very probable that one president that is elected in a certain manner or one government that is formed will be refuted by half of the Lebanese or a large percentage of the Lebanese. In fact, this is the situation today on ground. We have a cabinet that for pro-government people is the right democratic cabinet. For opposition, which is not only Hezbollah, opposition, and this is what people don't know, like a big part of the Christians are allied and say this government is unconstitutional. So the division today on ground can be reflected formally in the establishment of a government where half the population says this is illegal, they take the streets and come up with a different sort of extremist movement.